The Chicago Bulls recently released Andrew Funk, and now they have freed up a two-way contract. We're going to be talking about what the Chicago Bulls could possibly do with the last remaining two-way contract that they have, and what this means for the Chicago Bulls. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. Before we go ahead and jump into it, I want to let you know that 77.2% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you mash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest news and happenings around your Chicago Bulls. It would mean a lot to us as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the hot topic of the day, which is what should the Chicago Bulls do with their two-way contract? All right, so if you haven't been paying attention, they just recently released Andrew Funk, and Andrew Funk, he signed with us last February on a two-way deal, and essentially, he did not get a whole bunch of time with the Chicago Bulls. He only logged 13 total minutes, mainly in garbage time situations. He did average 11.3 points per game and 3.3 rebounds with an assist a game with the Windy City Bulls. Did not have a very good summer league at all this last summer league. Didn't shoot very well, didn't play a ton either, only averaged 13.9 minutes. That leaves the Chicago Bulls now with DJ Stewart and Adama Sanogo on the two-way contracts with one more open contract to go. All right, so with that being said, I think that the Chicago Bulls could possibly pivot and they could go back to a guy like Javontae Green. I think that Javontae Green could go ahead and sign a two-way deal, although I think he's definitely worth more than a two-way deal. For those who don't know, Javontae Green did go out and average 11.6 points per game. He had 6.2 rebounds a game and 1.2 steals a game. He also did shoot 48% from the field, and he also did have, I believe, a career best with the 35.5% from downtown in his 11 regular season games. And so the one thing that you love about Javontae Green is one thing that Stacey King says throughout the telecast is that there seems to be like 5 Javontae Greens out there. He plays with such passion, such heart, and defensively he is intense out there. And I think that between him and Caruso, they were an absolute terror. And I would absolutely love Javontae Green to come back to the Chicago Bulls in some capacity to go out here and maybe give us a bit of a veteran presence in the locker room, and also to the way he plays the game. He is a guy that absolutely loves to fill the lane, so he's going to be a player that we can rely on to run in transition. He's great at getting backdoor cuts, and I love the fact that he took the time last year to work with the Golden State G League team and improve his three-point shooting, and he also recovered his knee as well. So that's why the G League is absolutely important, and that's why it absolutely matters. Now, the next player that the Chicago Bulls possibly could take a look at, and I've got to give a shout out to Hayes at the Chicago Bulls Central, because he was actually talking about this and it makes a lot of sense. That is going to be Javon-Freeman-Liberty. He just got released by Toronto, I believe, just yesterday. And then we released Andrew Funk. And I think that the Chicago Bulls would have loved to keep Freeman-Liberty around, but I think it just came down to the point that he was getting a contract from Toronto. He went ahead and signed that deal, and he had a okay season with them. I think that he absolutely showed that he could, play in the NBA for sure, but didn't necessarily take off. But I think he was terrific for our G League team. I think that, he would absolutely be outstanding for our G League team, because I've said it before, the G League is definitely important to, player development. And so if we have to maybe have Modest come down and play in the G League, he would have a couple guards that he could play with. I think that the great thing about about Liberty Freeman is he is able to play the two guard. And I think he is a bit taller than DJ Stewart, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's 6'4". I'm not sure what his wingspan is, but he showed us a lot of different things in the last summer league before this one. And so, all it takes is one opportunity, and then, a player's career can possibly take off. And we're in a situation with our roster where, let's be, clear about it, there are still some changes to come. So I think there's absolutely some opportunities for a guard that can, be a 1 or a 2 for us that can come in and get some minutes at some point in time during the season. Now, next up, the last signing that the Chicago Bulls might want to possibly do is with Isaiah Mobley, and that's with a 2-way contract. I think he's still eligible for one. You're looking at his G League numbers. He is the brother of Evan Mobley, who just signed for a lot of money with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I talked about this before. At 6'8", 6'9", 238, he would definitely give us some size, and for sure, I think that he could possibly play his way into a roster spot depending on what the situation is, because we've said this several times on the channel, and it's noted the Chicago Bulls never did go out there and address the center position. They never really addressed the power forward position either. So I think that there is a major opportunity on the front line for the Chicago Bulls if you can play those positions. And that's why I think that Adama Sanogo is going to have a wonderful opportunity this year as long as they play him. I think he's going to showcase that what he's been doing in the Summer League and also too with the Windy City Bulls is not it wasn't by accident. I think he can absolutely play, and I think it just, like I said, it takes just an opportunity, right? It takes a time where, a team doesn't have a lot of players in front of you, and, you're doing this whole youth movement and you're trying to figure out the direction of your franchise. It takes, just these moments for a G League player to step in and show you that they could be playing for your NBA team. And so that's what it comes down to. I think there's a lot of basketball players out there that, we don't hear about that just need the opportunity. And so for the people out there that are saying, well, hey, it's just a G League contract, I got a chance to look at 10 vets that are in the NBA that played in the G League. Some of those were players like Fred VanVleet, who is with the Houston Rockets. He was a terrific G League player in Toronto's system before he went on to win an NBA championship in 2019. You also, too, had Pascal Siakam. He was another player that played in the G League. In fact, he was the MVP of the finals in the G League, and he went on to be, I think, the most improved player and so on. So, yeah, this is why the G League is important, because you can develop players that potentially could help your roster. And also, too, Rudy Gobert. Here's a guy that is now getting minutes with Minnesota. Played with Utah, but he had to develop his skills. And it's also good too for rehab work. And if you need to get some extra work, talking about Serge Ibaka, who had to go and he had to rehab from a back injury. He had to go to the G League. Jordan Clarkson, who is an absolute scorer off the bench, he was in the G League as well. So look, the G League is important. And for those people out there that think it is not, it can be important to your roster if you use it properly. And so, like I said before, with Sanogo and with DJ Stewart, I'm not saying that they're going to be household names. I'm not saying that they're going to be superstars, but it only takes one time where players are getting traded. We need to fill in some positions for that night, for that week. They go on a tear, and then the coach goes ahead and rides them, and you find out that they actually can be beneficial to your big club. Chris Middleton, right, who's playing for the Bucks. He was in the G League, all right? So there are several success stories with players who have come from the G League and had some really good careers. And so with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that the Chicago Bulls should try to maybe get Javontae Green in on a 2-way deal? I think if he's eligible, and then try to see what they can do to maybe convert him to a regular roster spot. Whether that means moving on from somebody on the roster, or if they open it up by a trade, or do you take a chance on like a younger player like a Isaiah Mobley, who just hasn't really found his way in the league, right? He just needs that opportunity. Or do we go ahead and we bring back a guy like Freeman-Liberty, who played very well with our Windy City Bulls and might just need just an opportunity that the Chicago Bulls could present this year. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. As usual, even though we're talking about G League potential, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.